Hi everyone, it's Karen, and I'm back to share my second design team project for AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy for the month of August. And I will leave links to her lovely Etsy shop down in the description box. So within one click, you can go over to the store and do some shopping. I know she's just listed some new laces and bling in the shop, so you'll be sure, and some new shabby chic fabric. So you'll want to go over and have a look and see what she has. And for my project this time, I created some fancy clothespins. And I do paper clips quite often, but I have a collection of clothespins, and these are the different sizes that I have. This one I've just put a piece of paper on it, getting it ready, but this is a small wooden one, a large wooden one. I don't think in the end I ended up using any that big. I've used those before. I have these metal ones, and then this is a clear little acrylic one, and I did use that one, I think, in a previous project, and then these little wooden ones in different colors. So there's lots of different sizes out there that you can get and use, and so they're a lot of fun when you're using the different sizes especially. And what I did was I created these little beauties using obviously little scraps of your lace. So I had piles on my desk and blings, and I just went to work putting them together. I have put a bit of a video at the end if you're interested in seeing how I put them together, how I sort of create these little beauties. Then you can stay tuned and watch and see how I put some of them together. So I'll just show you the ones that I did create. Most of them are double-sided, so I create on both sides, and I'm going to show you how I use them in a project as well. This one has the beautiful tulle fabric that had the pearls on it that was covering my package. And Kim has some beautiful fabrics and tulle fabrics in her shop now, so you have to check them out. And I just ruched that onto a piece of paper that I put on the actual clothespin. And then I added this pretty lace down the center. That's also one of the ones that was in my design team package, and I added little flat back pearls to the tops of those flowers. And this is one of the embellishments that she sent with the gold ribbon and the little ribbon roses, and I added that to the top. So that's this one. And then on the reverse side, I did it all in white, and I used a piece of the ribbon that she sent on the package, and I just cut the edges off and I frayed it out. It frays really nicely. I used that to cover the actual clothespin, and then I used a couple of pieces of the sequined bridal trim that I had in my package. These little flowers here are from another one of the laces. I think I purchased that one, but it's also from Kim's shop. This one is from our previous design team package, and just this little piece I had left here, but it fit here perfectly. I added one of my own little flat back pearls, and then a little bow from my stash. Kim has bows in her shop too. I just don't happen to have any at the moment. So that's that one. This is another one that I've done all in the whites. This has the beautiful tulle, a few glue strings added on, the beautiful tulle in the background, a flower from one of the laces, little leaves. Here's some of that, looks like a beading, I call it. It was on the one lace, and I used that there. I added them in little strips, added some flat back pearls. This is the tulle, and it has the pearls. This part had the pearls on it, so there's this pearl here and this one up here are actually on that piece of fabric from Kim's shop, and I just incorporated it and then added some extra pearls on as well. And one of her little flat back blings from previous, I don't think she has those in the shop right now, but I think she gets them in regularly. And then this is a collection cut from one of the laces that I had. I just cut in little pieces and added on the top. And then on the reverse side of that one is the one lace that I ordered, cut and put on in an arrangement. It has, what did I put on the back? A piece of lace on the back too that covers the actual clothespin. And then the top is a floral piece that she sent me, a little piece of the of the sequin fabric from the bridal trim and a little flat back from that one's from my stash. But I love how pretty they are. They clip onto a page really nicely. The laces look really pretty from the side. You can only see a bit of the clothespin in there. And even from the top, they look really, really pretty. So if they're clipped to a page, even if this is sticking out the top or onto a gift bag, they still look really pretty from any angle. This is a more colorful one. This is, again, that gorgeous lace that was in my design team package that had the pink flowers on it and the leaves. And I've added some of the other laces in behind. And when I'm making these, I just take little bits and add them in. Here on the back, this is the back side of the other lace. And of course, that wouldn't show if it's clipped onto a page. This is a little acrylic one inside here, but I've dangled it down quite a bit longer than the actual. You can see the actual paper or the clothespin ends right up here, but this got dangle pieces hanging down. And I like to dangle from the bottom and also dangle off the top too. But you can see the little flowers there from that floral trim, and then this is the one pink one. And then a bit of another lace in behind. So just 3 different laces on there, but these ones I've cut each little flower out separately and then placed them around the stem of that one going up to the pink rose. Now on the other side is some florals going up, butterfly created with 2 of the pinky colored leaves that were in my package. This is that trim with the sequins on it, and that makes up the lower part. Some flat backs in the center, a couple little pearl bits for the antennae. And then more of that pretty fabric that I got from Kim's shop with these gorgeous little flowers hanging down. You can see they look really pretty from all sides. And I really like to bling them up too. I think it's really pretty. This one's not quite as blingy, but it's got those gorgeous blue flowers on it that was on the same lace as the pink rose was. And I've added them in with some of that sort of beaded looking fabric or lace that's on that lace as well. It looks like it has little beads on it. It's really pretty. And then this is on one of the little blue clothespin. And then on the back side of it, I've done a flower, one of Kim's acrylics. These are really pretty. A little blue bow that I've made from some ribbon in my stash, and some leaves hanging down. And I always keep all these little bits of leaves from all of Kim's laces, because this is where they can come in really handy, because again, it's sort of dangling down from the actual end. The clothespin ends up here, and this much is a dangle down. So it's really pretty. And again, on a page, this one would look really pretty on a small gift bag. Just you use it as a closure on the gift bag. So they're really, really cute. They also they're really cute little bookmarks. So they're easy to give as a gift to someone. This one's a really full one, and it has the dangle at the top. That's one of my favorite dangle trims from Kim's shop, and I've added that on the top, so that would dangle off the top of your page, or if you clipped it on the side, it would be off the side, which either way would look really pretty. And again, lots of little pieces of Kim's laces, and these are those little ones I call the fuchsia flowers, one of her little heart blings. And then on the other side is a collection of leaves and flowers from her laces, and a little bit of that sequin trim tucked in the back there. There's some more of those, what I call, they look like they're beaded part of the lace. So pretty. And I just put those in there. So again, this is on a medium-sized wooden one. And you could paint the clothespin white if you wanted to make it even less noticeable. But I don't think it looks, I think it still looks really pretty. And I don't think, with all the laces and stuff on it, I don't think you notice the clothespin that much at all. So this one would clip on like that. It would have this beautiful dangle off the top. Or like I mentioned, you could do it on the side, and it would, on the page, and it could dangle off. This is my smallest one. This is on one of the little acrylic ones, these little mini ones that I've got. And I did a collection on here. And it doesn't matter the size of the clothespin, because once you start adding, if you add your base layer on and it was this pink leaf and it hangs down, you can attach things to that as well. Like this little pink rosebud is attached to the leaf underneath. It's not attached to the clothespin at all. And then that little flower, a little piece sticking out the top here, and some three little flat back pearls on there. And then on the other side is a collection of laces that I've added in, and some onto each other and some initially onto the little clothespin at the bottom, and these two leaves and another rose on that one. So yeah, you can build them out and build things down from them. I've used that trim again as little loops on the side here to add in a little bit more detail. And then some flat backs from my stash to add in. So they turn out really cute. And the different sizes are really nice, and I'll show you that in a second too, how I use the different sizes. And then here's the last one. This one I only did on one side. I used a piece, again, from this same lace, this one with the pink roses. There was a mesh piece, and I used that in the back. You can see it there. And then some of the sequin trim on top, some of the pink flowers from that same sequin trim, some of the other bridal trim in behind here, and this little flower. I added in my own little flat backs and a pink bow from my stash. And that's just on, like this, on a little pink one, really tiny. But look how big the clip is that I built out from that. And sometimes it's really nice to just have them flat, and I'll show you why. So what I did was I just created this little folder that I can show you how I can use these in something like this. A little folder that flips and flops, and I could easily give this as on its own, or I could actually put it in a journal, attach it in a journal here. I could sew it in through the side here. So I've got options of what I can do with it. What I did on the front was I used a piece of that snippet roll that I had made a few weeks ago. This is one of them. I think I changed the little scripty thing that I had on it, and I added in the pink. So that's the thing about the snippet rolls. You know, when I made it, I had the white lace there and all this beaded trim, and then what I did when I added it to this project to draw it in and make it part of this project, which I had done the pink leaf trim down the side, is I added a little bit of pink leaf trim onto that snippet roll, and that kind of just pulls it all together then and makes it more cohesive with your project. I think I added another butterfly. I added the stickles onto them because again it makes the paper a little firmer. And then I've just tucked some little tags in behind that piece of snippet strip, which I've left only glued down on two sides so it can be a bit of a tuck. And then just inside behind there on one of the little journaling cards, I've attached one of my little paper clips. So this is one I've only decorated on one side, and this would be how I would use it, because I would want to lay flat in here. And I've just added that really cute one dangle trim that Kim has, just a couple of pieces that are the same from it, and then a piece of the pink applique that she sent me, and this is part of that pretty fabric with the flowers and the little stars on it. And then I put one of her little acrylic flowers in the center of there, and it turned out so cute. The clothespin has paper on it as the base, so sometimes I use lace and then more lace on top. Sometimes I use paper and then lace on top for the base of it. It just depends. And then this is just plain on the back. There's nothing built up on this one. And I just thought it looked so cute because I could tuck it into that little pocket that I've created, or that little tuck spot I've created with that snippet. And then it just dangles down the side of the snippet there. And it makes for a really pretty front cover on there. And I've just added the pink trim, leaf trim down the side, and then some of my own little bows. Again, Kim has bows, just have to go over to her shop and you can get some. And then this is from her shop as well. That's that initial snippet roll that has that gorgeous beaded trim on it. This little trim here on the top of this little tag is also from Kim's shop, and it's a really pretty one too. Then you flip it open, and I've created a pocket on this side with some of her beautiful sequined trim, and it has the little pink flowers and all these beauties on it. And then this is a little piece that I had created a while back using some of her fabric and all her laces, and I had it tucked away just waiting for a project, and I thought it looked really pretty here, so I glued it down into the corner and I created that pocket using those two pieces. I stenciled on here and did some stamping too with a little butterfly to add into that, a couple of journaling cards. On this side, I created a pocket with that beautiful lace that I purchased from her shop. That was in my haul video. This is lovely, and it makes a beautiful pocket because it has some nice weight to it. And I've actually overlaid it over the pocket, so it's kind of almost could be an extra tuck spot, I guess, too. And then in here, I've tucked a little book and then just a little scrappy pad with papers and things in it, and some of her laces on the front of that, and a little journaling card. And then here's one of the other clothespins, and this one was clipped at the top here. It had multifunction. It was holding that little booklet in place so it didn't slide out of that pocket, and it was also adding beauty to the top of the folder. Looks so pretty. Falling apart here. Hanging out the top, it has the dangle, pink leaves on it with the dangles to make the dangle. And you can see from the top, you can't even see that clothespin. All you see is pretty, pretty, pretty. So here it is here. It's got the pink applique on it. It's got one of her little pink blings with a little rhinestone center. Has a little butterfly created out of a flower. I make those all the time. The lace in the background, this white lace, was from her shop. It's a flat lace, and I use that for the back. And this is a little wooden one. And then the same, I used the same lace on that side for the back. And then I added in the leaves are on this side for the dangle, more of the pink applique, more of the pink trim like what is over on the pocket here with the sequins and the pink flowers, and another little butterfly created from one of her trims. And it's just makes the cutest little clip on there. This is a piece of vellum that I have stenciled on, so it sounds nice and it looks pretty. We flip it over. There's the back side of the vellum. And I put a bit of washi in the center here to add some more interest and colors, to kind of pulled in with the blues and the purpley colors in these digitals. This is an envelope that comes over and becomes a flap on this side, and it's decorated with some of her pink applique and then some butterflies. And then I've made 3 tags, which are tucked in here underneath the envelope flap. So 3 beautiful tags and just some ribbons and bows tied in those, and the paper in behind is stenciled again, and a little butterfly stamp there. Then that flips over, and on this side we have another beautiful page with some more of that pretty washi, a little collage in the corner here with a piece of all pieces from the digital with a floral, a little tag part, and a little birdie. And then I've added, created a couple of tags and put those in there. This is the digital printed onto some tracing paper, so it sounds really nice and it looks really pretty. How pretty that looks. And then it flips back this way, of course, because it's one of those types. So here's the other side of your envelope. Here's a pocket that creates. This has a little journal inside of it. So real cute, just with some pages tied closed. It's really cute, and it has a really nice sound to it because it has a piece of tea-dyed vellum or tracing paper in there, and that goes into the pocket of the envelope that's there. And then on this side, I just put another little piece up here in the corner to create a tuck spot, and some of Kim's beautiful lace down the side, and just some journaling cards and another little flippy booklet up in the corner there. And then this side, I've created a pocket with some textured paper and added in some journaling cards and another little tag and a piece of Kim's pretty lace. That's the one that you've seen today with the stars and the florals on it. That's another piece of it there running down the side of the page. And then we're back to the beginning. So it just flips and flips back and forth until you get through it all. But it's really pretty. And I just love how the clothespins look on the top. I just think that they're really, really pretty. They're also functional because you can tuck things underneath them. This one is functional too. It's can be removed from here, but it also adds to the beauty of the front of this little flippy little folder. And then, like I said, you can use them as bookmarks. They work really well attached to the top of a page. Say that was your book page and that would be your bookmarker. And also I didn't bring out any gift bags, but they look really cute attached to the top of a gift bag as well. Looks like a cute little closure on the top of your gift bag. And I would be tempted to use one of the stronger, like the metal ones or the heavier wooden ones when I'm doing that type of for a closure, because you want it to be a little bit stronger. So that is my design team project, my second one for AngeldreamCraftsKim for the month of August. I can't believe this month is almost finished. And I hope you'll pop over and see what all the other designers are creating as well, because I know they're creating beautiful and inspiring things. And you'll pop by the shop and buy some goodies for yourself. And if you are interested, like I said, in any of the process of me creating these little clothespins, there will be the video following, and you can have a look and see how I go about putting them together. Thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed and were inspired by my little project. And if you would have a moment, leave me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye for now. Hi everybody. So now here's the second half of my video, and I'm going to show you how I put together these little beauties. So I'm just showing you, I have them clipped onto a piece of card here, and I'm just showing you two I've already made, and then just showing you the different types of clothespins that I choose to make them with. And these are just ones that I've collected. Seem to, you know how you collect stuff in your stash. And so I just have a pile. You can see on the side of my desk there, I have piles of little bits of pieces of all of laces from AngeldreamCraftsKim, and probably a few that might be from my stash, but pretty much everything's from her shop. And here's that ribbon that I had tied, that Kim had tied around my package when I got it. And I'm cutting a piece of that off, and I'm going to use that as the base. So I usually put a base of either lace, paper, or ribbon right onto the clothespin, and then I build off of that with all the rest of the goodies. Now, I do love this ribbon frayed, and so I've cut the edge off of it, and you can see it frays beautifully. And Rosanna, if you're watching, I'm throwing the fuzzy away. I know, you're going to cringe. Sorry, girlfriend, but had to go. I have so much fuzzy in a bag, and I'll never use it up in 100 years. And I decided that I need to start learning to let things go, because otherwise I feel sorry for anyone who's going to have to clean up my craft space when I no longer am able to craft. So I frayed out the edges of that ribbon, and I'm placing it there with some hot glue on the top of the metal clothespin that I have there. And so it's just nice to have a base to work off of, and I also like to fold it over at the top just to give that edge a nice clean edge to glue off of as well, and to, if you're looking down from the top on them when you have them clipped on something, it's just all more finished looking. The bottom, I sometimes leave it long and add dangles off of that, or add pieces off of it, and other times I cut it a bit shorter. That is totally dependent on how in the end, how long you want your clothespin to be, because remember, you can make pieces hang off the end and they look really pretty, and so it doesn't have to end right at the edge of the actual clothespin. So here I have selected a piece of the beaded bridal trim, or not beaded, sequined bridal trim that Kim sent me. And I just love this little swoopy piece. I just think they're so pretty. And I'm going to place that onto this ribbon. And if often the little edge pieces come loose like that, literally I just had like get a little bit of glue on the end of my glue gun and just kind of swipe it over the area, and then you can glue that back in place if you want it glued. And if you like it looking a little more shabby, then hey, leave it and you're good to go. But it's everyone's preference is different, and mine is that I like to glue it back together. So I've got that on there, and again, a lot of times when I'm creating these, same ideas I've said before, even on the snippet rolls, I glue, like on this piece it's fairly narrow, so harder to do, but I'll glue just the center of something so that I can decide whether I want to tuck something underneath it. And then after I make that decision, I will glue the whole piece, like the more of it down, is what I'm trying to say. And that just leaves your options open. So here, sorry for saying I hate that when I do that, but I'm thinking and trying to talk, and sometimes the two just don't work together. So I'm auditioning some different pieces for this little clothespin, and I choose this is a flower off of one of my favorite laces from Kim's shop. But I know as soon as I put it down, I feel it's a little bit big for the clothespin, just in the direction I'm going. If you build them out quite a bit, then you can put bigger flowers on them. Like if you add, say, leaves spraying out from behind the flower or something else coming out as well to kind of widen the whole thing out, which you'll see on some of the other ones I've done that, or say a little bit of gathered lace or a little bit of tulle, then you can go with a bigger flower. But in this case, I didn't want to do that. And so I've cut this little flower out of another piece of lace that I had laying there on my desk. Like I said, little bits here and there, just collect them up. And I like the look of that better. And now I want to put like a little crowning piece on the top of this one. So again, I've got out the sequined bridal trim that's from Kim's shop, and isn't it so pretty? And I just love cutting it up. And so I'm cutting this one piece, the whole length of it off. I don't want to cut just a portion of it because I don't know exactly what I want. So I'll cut the whole piece and then I'll cut it down and save whatever I don't use. So you can see it depends on how you put it on there as to how it looks. So I like that look of the swoop coming sort of as an M on the top there. And then you'll see I put the little flower back on, and it's just perfect. Like that little flower sits there really nice. But I can see right away. That little swirl at the top covers up one of my little sequins on the little piece I'm putting on there, and what would be the point if I'm going to cover one of them up. So I just take that little swoop off. And that's generally how I will fussy cut my items, is I'll leave pieces, I'll cut it as the biggest it is, and then cut it down after I see how it fits. Now you can see there how that fits perfectly on there. The little swoop is not there, the sequins are not covered up, and so then I will place that in place with a bit of hot glue, and then I will put the little flower in place, and then eventually I think that I get to the bow, and then a good portion, if not that whole thing, is done in my eyes. Turns out really pretty. There's the little bow going in place, and then I will trim the pieces off at the top there. So of course they're not extending. You could extend them a little ways out, but I wouldn't want them extending out as far as they are. I think that's a little too far. And so I will take that off there and do a little bit of trimming, and I think that this one is done. And I'll keep those little pieces because they have the little circles with the sequins in the center, and those little pieces will come in handy on especially if you're working on the little mini books like I did earlier this month. If you haven't seen that video, you'll have to go back and have a look at the little mini books I did, because they take little pieces of scraps like that. They can be just the perfect thing, so don't throw them away. So there's that one finished on one side. and I'm happy with that. It's got a little bit of sparkle at the top with the sequins, and then that swoop with the little sequins down the side and along the bottom, and I just think it looks really, really pretty. And so I'm going to turn it around and we're going to work on the other side. So for this side, I want to use this beautiful tulle and pearl fabric that Kim had my design team package all wrapped up in. And so I'm just cutting a piece off the side. And the way the pearls are positioned on this particular fabric, I'm not getting any pearls actually on this piece at all. And that's what I wanted. I just wanted a piece of the fabric. And one of the other clothespins I made, I actually had a piece with the pearls on it. And so this time I'm just really wanting that lovely fabric. It's such a soft tulle and it's really pretty, and I'm planning to ruche it onto this side of this clothespin. So this one, the base, I've chosen a piece of a digital that I have that I've printed off on some of my heavier weight paper, and I am just adding that as the base for this side of the clothespin. As I mentioned, lace, ribbon, paper. I mean, you can put nothing on if you want. I just prefer to have something a little wider than the clothespin itself, and something that I can work and glue off of, so that I can get a little bit more width on the clothespins as well. I still do the same thing at the top. I put some glue on that paper and I fold that over on the top to finish the top off. I just think it looks nicer, and it actually allows you to be able to glue on the inside. If say you're putting a little topper on it, you're able to glue on both the inside because you have that paper or fabric there that helps you, and you can glue on the inside as well as on the other side that you're working on. So it gives you more versatility. And so here's the ruching that I'm doing, just a little bit of glue. Now, don't do this without finger protectors if you aren't accustomed to working with hot glue. I'm very accustomed, and I also use very little glue, and both of those things come into play here, why I don't burn my fingers. So just beware that if this isn't something you're used to, you're going to have to use the protectors, especially with something as thin as this soft tulle fabric. So just hot glue down the center or whatever your glue of choice is, and then you just pinch the fabric and it just pinches up, and it makes this the prettiest ruching. It's a really fun way to do ruching down the side of a page or on a tag or on one of these little clothespins, little things that I'm making. So it's a great technique to use. So I just finish up. Of course, I've got a big long piece there, and that's a good way to go because then you can ruche it to whatever you want, and then you just cut off your excess. And again, you put that in your pile because you can use that somewhere else. I've got a good length there to use somewhere else. And the ruching is way bigger, wider than I want, but that's okay too. I'd rather start with a wider piece. It was probably 2 inches wide or maybe 2.5, and then ruche it and then trim it like I'm doing, because then I get the look I want. I find if you measure first and then ruche it on, sometimes just the way the ruching falls, you wish you had either a longer piece or you wish you'd used a wider piece. So just start off with it a bit wider and a bit longer than what you need, and I think you'll be happier in the end. So we've got that on there, and then I choose this beautiful little trim that Kim sent me in my design team package. This is such a pretty little trim, little flowers and little leaves, and I put that down the very center. So I'm just gluing behind the little flowers. You don't need a lot of glue to hold, because you're layering, so glue is going on top of that as well. And so things hold on very well. It's not a big issue. Here I'm auditioning a piece of lace I want to use as a topper, and I'm trying the middle of it and then the sides. And then here's another one that I try. And both of them look great. I love how they look. It's just your whole vision that you have, that you just sometimes it just doesn't fit in your vision. And so then I choose one of these little embellishments she sent. And I really, really like that pretty little embellishment that's got the gold ribbon and the little rosettes on it. So I choose that for the top there. And I'm just hot gluing it in place and adjusting the little loops of the ribbon so that they sit nicely at the top of that little clothespin. And I love how that looks. I just think it's so pretty, and I just love those little embellishments. And any chance that I could to use them, I wanted to use them because I think they're really, really pretty, and a really pretty choice that Kim put in the shop, because those are new. They're new to the shop, I believe, as well, because I don't remember ever seeing them before. And there's that one finished on that side. Very simply, 3 items, and that one's finished on the second side. So now we're starting on the little blue clothespin, and this one I knew when I saw the blue clothespin that I wanted to use that lace that has the blue flowers on it. And so you saw me trialing it out there, but I realized I wanted to put a little base on this one as well, and so I chose a bit of the flat lace. This again is from Kim's shop. It's about a 2-inch wide flat lace, really very, very pretty, and I put a piece of that on the clothespin. And now I'm just cutting out these little blue flowers from the lace. The piece had already been cut out, and now I'm further cutting it out. Again, like I said, I tend to cut the pieces bigger than what I need, and then once I put it onto the project, I decide how much more I want to cut off. It's always better to go that way, because then you are not regretting and having to start all over and cut another piece. So here I'm just measuring, and those little pieces, I call those little beaded pieces. They look like little beads on a string to me, and it's all part of the lace. And that's that beautiful lace that's in Kim's shop that also has the pretty pink flowers in that I used in my projects this past couple months as well. And so I've placed that there, and I've figured out how I want those little beaded pieces to go, and I'm just gluing them in place. And then after I glue those each little one in place, so I'm just putting a little dab of glue and then using the glue gun to kind of press them down. That way you're not getting your fingers in there and you're not getting burnt. It's a good idea to use if you're using a hot glue gun, you can learn how to use it like that, and it really helps you out. A little tiny bit of glue and then just pressing down with the tip. And then I have those little beaded pieces in place, and then I'm going to add that little blue flower. I'm just trimming off some little bits that are sticking out on the ends, and then on that little flower will go. And I just thought this was a pretty little clothespin. I like the fact that the blue from the clothespin did show through the white lace, and kind of was a very similar blue color to these pretty little flowers that were in that lace. And I find that they're so much fun to create, and to create in different colors, because you never know when you're going to want to use them in a project, and then you have some ready to go that are in the different colors. I just chose another one of the little flowers from that same lace and just added it there as an accent, because again, it's the rule of odd numbers, so the 3 flowers to me looks right on there, not just 2. Now I flipped it over and I'm doing the other side, and again hot glue, and that same flat lace, I had cut that piece and there was enough for both sides. And this time I'm using a little bow from my stash. Kim does have bows in her shop. I just happen to have some ribbons and in a few different colors, and blue was one of them, so I tied my own. And then this little white flower is from one of the bridal trims from Kim's shop, and then that little acrylic piece I put in the center with the blue and the pink, that is some of the acrylic pieces she has in the shop. Those were new and to me and to this past design team kit, and I loved them and ended up purchasing a few more. Very, very pretty acrylics. Nice detail, nice color. So those were really nice to have too, because they make perfect little additions to these little pieces as well. So just trimming up the tails and getting that ribbon in place there. And I'm not sure what the next, I add some little bits in the bottom, that's right. So below the little bow is, I decide, room for a little bit of it, almost like a little teeny dangle. And so on goes, again, some leaves from one of Kim's laces, 2 different leaves. And that again is something I always do, is I will cut the leaves off of anything and I will keep them in a little box, and then it's nice to use them. And that's 2 different ones from her laces, and they just fit
perfectly on the bottom of there. And now we've got the little acrylic one, and she's a tiny little one, but I love working with these tiny little clips as well, or clothespins. And I did use 1 or 2 of them in the mini books that I made. And I'm just using little bits of laces that I had cut off when I was creating the mini books, and I'm covering the acrylic. Now, I wasn't so worried about putting any lace or ribbon on the base of this one because it's clear. It's a clear acrylic little clothespin, and you really can't see it once you start building on it. So I've put a couple of the pink leaves from Kim's shop. I love the leaf trims, and this was a particularly pretty one that I received a piece of on my design team package. And also the little ribbon roses, so I add a little ribbon rose on there too, and I thought that just really looked really pretty. Later on, I go back and add more to this side of this clothespin because I wasn't sure what else I wanted to do with it, so I went to the other side, which is where I am now. Sometimes when I'm creating, you kind of come up against a roadblock and you're just not sure how to finish it. And so with these, it's fun because you just flip it over and just start working on the other side and then see where it takes you. So here I put a piece of the pink applique down that I received in my design team package, and a little one of these little flowers. These are some of my favorite flowers from Kim's shop, that trim. And I believe those were in this time where I have received them in design team packages, and this time those were in the package of goodies that I purchased myself. And then I put this little tiny piece that was from one of the other laces. I'm using that as sort of the little crown piece on the top, and I am gluing that on the back side of the clothespin, and behind. And I had mentioned that before because you can glue from behind as well. And so I'm just pinching that into place and making sure it's lying correctly there. Took it off the white cardboard so I could have a really good look at it, and just put the clothespin onto a piece of paper. And I really like how it looks, and I like how you can see the pink rosebud kind of peeking from the other side. And so I decided that I wanted to, for some cohesiveness, I wanted to put a pink rosebud on this side. So I added in a couple of these little pink applique leaves just to give it a little bit more substance on that side and something more to glue the rosebud to. So you can see I'm just adding them in, and that adds a little bit more into that space where I wanted to put the rosebud. So I made the space work for me. There was space there. I didn't want space. I added a little more applique, and now I am adding in that pretty little rosebud right there, and it has somewhere to rest. And now when this is clipped on the page, you see the little rosebud on this side, and then you see the glimpse of the one on the other side, which I just really like the look of that. It's such a tiny little clothespin, but wow, big impact. And this is what I did with the other side of it. I added on some little swirls and some other little pieces and some flat backs. So she ended up being very, very pretty on both sides. And you will have seen her in the video if you watch all the finished ones. So here's the little wooden one, and again, I've left it on this piece of paper because the other one that I had clipped the clothespins on, it's getting heavy with all those finished ones on it. So started putting them onto this piece of digital paper that I have, and just adding the lace bases. So I'm using that flat lace again, a very versatile lace and great for this type of thing. And then I'm going to build on top that. I still have that pink applique laying out from using it on a previous one, on the previous little clothespin. So I go ahead and decide to cut away some of the netting from the background, and I'm going to start with that little flower on this clothespin. So I've placed the little pink applique there, and now on this one I want to do a dangle off the top, something that I do enjoy doing. This dangle then sort of hangs out the top of the page wherever you've clipped your little clothespin onto. It works nicely if you're using it as a bookmark as well, and they just look pretty. And so I've chosen some of the pink leaf trim that Kim has in the shop. She usually has this trim in pink, white, and off-white. And so I've placed that there, and then I put the little pink applique flower back in place. And now I want to add a little bit of sparkle to this one. So I'm using some of the pink sequined trim that Kim has in the shop, and this has the little pink flowers on it and all those sequins. It's so sparkly and so pretty. And then a little acrylic flower, which is also from her shop, the ones with the little blings in the center. So cute and looks so pretty on there. And just looking at the sides and wanting to just trim down the sides a little bit. So once you've put your items onto the lace, if the lace is sticking out on the sides more than you want, you just trim it back. And so I've finished that side. You can see it has the little dangle and the couple other pieces, and it looks so pretty and so finished, and that took me just like a few minutes to do. This side, again, I'm trimming that lace back a little bit because I think it's a little bit wide, and now I am going to start building on this side. So again, I'm continuing with the pink and white theme, and I am trimming some of the netting off the back of the applique, and I'm going to put this on this side. This is a really pretty applique, and any of the appliques Kim sells in the shop are so worth it, because when you start cutting them up, you have so many beautiful pieces with leaves and flowers to use on your projects. It's just amazing what you get and what you're able to do with appliques. And a lot of us on the design team use the appliques and cut them up, and so you'll get lots of inspiration too. So I've added another little bow on this one, and another one of her little acrylic flowers in the center of that bow. And now I want a little bit of sparkle, so I'm just cutting out some of the little swirls from that sequin trim that I had put on the other side. And then I'm just going to do some gluing. My process is always the same, doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm always laying bits out and then going back and gluing things down. And sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating, because when you're working on a really tiny project like this, things move. But I just try and get in there, even with the smallest little dot of glue, to glue a little bit of it down to hold it in place, and then go from there. And if you just work slowly, you know, here I'm just adding a little bit of glue to the back of that sequin to make sure it stays in place, and then adding some to the leaf. And it's just, you just go slowly, move slowly, and you will be happy with the end result. I'll go back now and grab that little bow that fell off, and I'm going to put that back into the top corner there. And then, so I've tucked it under the leaves, and that's why, again, I always say kind of just glue it down a little bit at a time, because otherwise, if it's all glued down, you now may have wanted part of the bow to go under the leaves, but you can't because they're all glued. And then add that pretty little acrylic to the center there, and you can see from the top how pretty that looked. Sorry I didn't hold that long enough, but I think I showed that later on. It looked so pretty from the top if you were to look down on it. And then I'm just adding one of those little butterflies in. I make these quite frequently. I've shown it before. You just take a 5-petal flower and you cut away one of the petals, and now you have 4 little petals that are now sort of like, for me, that's like the butterfly. And you add the antenna on, and you got a little butterfly that I've stuck there onto that one. And so here they all are. It's a gorgeous display of prettiness, and every bit of that is all AngeldreamCraftsKim on Etsy. Beautiful laces, beautiful trims, so pretty, and just made these beautiful little clothespins that I can tuck away and I can add onto so many different projects, or you know, even just tucked in onto a gift bag, or into a small gift bag with a card for someone for a birthday gift, someone that's a book lover and loves to still read paper books. What a gorgeous piece they can have clipped to their book to mark their page. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was inspirational, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye for now, guys.